Hello, good morning and welcome. Welcome to the final free practice session for round 2 of the 2026 FIA World Endurance Championship. Is there a better site? I'll give you 5 minutes to come up with a better site in motor racing than the overhead view of Spa Francorchamps. That's where we are for this final practice session for the final race before the 24 Hours of Le Mans. As so often has been the case in the past, Spa is the warm-up race for Le Mans. It's closest in nature, perhaps, to the Circuit De Spa of any of the tracks that we run at, and it is a perfect preparation for the big one. Well, welcome everybody. Martin Haven, and joining me in the booth, Graham Goodwin, Anthony Davidson down in the pit lane. We'll hear from Bruce Ioane and Shea Adam during this final practice session. And gentlemen, interesting, Graham, the blend of speed, long, fast straights and the high-speed corners here always gives us a little bit of an indication about what we might expect at Le Mans, but it's also quite difficult because the centre section of this track is unlike anything that we had at Le Mans, so it kind of mixes up the impression that we're getting, I think.
Well, remember back in the days of LMP1 where some of the factory teams used to have the low downforce and the high downforce kits here. They were assessing the differences. I think what the first thing to say is we're going to see a very different race from the race we saw at Imola. Terrifically difficult to pass there, as we've seen in recent years, as we're here in Belgium, round 2 of this delayed start to the season, with Qatar and Bahrain at the moment timed for October, November. We've seen there have been some spectacular races with overtaking. Reputations have been made and lost in this astonishing place. But Ant, before we get into that, you're going to take us for a trip around this amazing Spa Francorchamps circuit.
It's fantastic to be back here in Spa Francorchamps, and we're just going to take, as you say, Graham, just a quick look at the track. 7 kilometres long. It's a 6-hour race. We've got 19 corners here. We're going to look at a few of the sectors, starting off at Sector 1. And of course, you have Raidillon that leads you up the hill, that steep incline of over 50 metres elevation gain through that one sequence, through Eau Rouge at the top and down the Kemmel Straight. A brilliant overtaking move, opportunity into turn 5 here at Le Combe. Come race day, and in qualifying, something you'll be focusing on FP3 coming up now, is to get this sequence right inside the car. The right sequence, very hard to master. And then we come round towards turn 3. Sector 3, Blanchimont at turn 17, a flat-out left-hand corner. You've got to stay within track limits there, though. We have seen a few times being pinged by the race stewards and lap times being disallowed in free practice. And so that's something to watch out for later on in qualifying. But a beautiful track. It's just about dry enough to, in Spa terms, I'd say it's a glorious day. And yeah, we can't wait to see the cars out on track.
Well, certainly no snow so far. Anthony Davidson, 2-time race winner here in the number 8 Toyota, won back in 2014 with Seb Buemi and Nico Lapierre, and in 2017 with Kazuki Nakajima and Sebastian Buemi. So let's hear from that number 8 car team.
Check. Yeah, loud and clear, Brendan. So let me give you the update on conditions, and then we can go through the steering wheel and bars. We're at air temp 12, track temp 15. It's coming up a little bit. The sun is trying to come out, but unsuccessful so far. And there's no wind on the track at the moment. Then for the steering wheel, we should go to Bravo 11.4, please. Bravo 11.4.
Oh, great bit of team radio there for Brendan Hartley from his engineer. Yeah, it's trying its hardest. Well, at least it's not hosing with rain and foggy like it has been for the early part of this week. For those of you who missed the season opener, that was in Imola 3 weeks ago, you can catch up with all of the action with our full access program from Imola, which is now available on WC+. Staying out of the way there in a race suit is Shea Adam. She'll be reporting from the pit lane during this session throughout the race weekend, as will Bruce Ioane. So go to FIA WEC Plus FIAWC.com, and you can sign up for free. You can take a look at full access from Imola, catch up with not just what happened, but what the teams thought about it as well at the time. And you can see all the action as well, uninterrupted and advert-free. And for just under €50 for the entire season, that sounds like quite a good deal to me.
All sorts of storylines. A quick run through some of the look of the cars coming out from these factory teams. Jota's Cadillac Hertz team, Jota Cadillacs, would be looking to repeat the success, of course, that Jota had here in dramatic circumstances with Porsche. What dramas await for Alpine? They've been right there on pace throughout. And we've got a quick look as well at the brand new Genesis Magma Racing GMR 001s. What a great start they had to their campaign at Imola. But here, where it's easier to pass, is it going to be quite as good? Could they be better?
Well, it's going to be very interesting to see how that car shapes up on a very... I mean, Imola is an outlier, Anthony, totally different from any of the other tracks that we race at. It's much tighter, slower in a lot of places, and so these cars, particularly the hypercars, look like a very big car on a very small track. A little bit easy with LMGT3, but this is going to give us maybe some more pointers for Le Mans.
I think it was Alessandro Pierguidi that summed it up the best during the Imola race when he was interviewed. He stepped out of the car and he said, "This is our Monaco.
Yeah.
Imola is our Monaco. We can't overtake here, or we can, but it's incredibly difficult." So it boils down to track position and strategy, and that's exactly how it played out in Imola. This is a very different proposition for all the teams here. They can overtake on this track. So qualifying therefore is naturally less important. It's still fairly high on tyre wear, not as high as it used to be. So that's another consideration. We've seen the soft tyre and the medium being used from the Michelin runners in the hypercar category. And obviously it's the one single compound for the Goodyear shod cars in LMGT3. So yeah, a very different track, this one, compared to Imola, like Graham was saying earlier on. And therefore you'll see different cars and driver combos come into the fore compared to the track. So for example, Toyota, they haven't been inside the top 10 so far in both free practices. So let's keep an eye on them. They are your race winners from Imola, of course. We can have a listen from Fred Makawiki in the number 36 Alpine.
We have to start the weekend's coverage with the man who made the pass of the year in 2025. Fred Makawiki was here at Spa. You've been on the podium with 3 different manufacturers in WEC. Do you think this is the year that you can get there with Alpine to the top step?
I mean, definitely it's always a goal, you know, but also Spa is there to propel Le Mans. We know the next one is a big one. We want to ramp up a bit, you know, to be stronger, and especially to define all the detail we need to fix, because it's never perfect. I think we are working really in a good way. Let's try to do it better again.
It's been 3 podiums in 4 years for the Alpine team here at Spa. What do you think it is that just seems to work with the track and the car?
I think the definition and the definition of the car is fitting quite well here. In general, Spa is a different compromise than the other track. You know, it's a quite fluid track where you need to have a very consistent balance. It's a strength from the car. But besides this, we have also some downside. When we are going on Imola or some other tracks, sometimes the bumpiness is a little bit harder for us. That's why we must enjoy the moment where it's nice and try to do well in the moment where it's a little bit harder.
Good luck this weekend.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
On the 1st of May 2021, something momentous happened. It was the first race of the season here at Spa Francorchamps. It was the first time we saw a hypercar in action, and that was Toyota's TS010, and we're now 8 manufacturers in hypercar.
So yeah, we confirm both Toyota, both Genesis and both Peugeot are on medium. I will give you the updates of the rest of the pack later on.
So 5 years since the grandfathered Rebellion and the new hypercar Toyota, that was the top tier, and we now have 8 manufacturers on the grid, 2 more in the press room behind us this weekend.
9, 8.
It has been a massive success story.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pit exit is open. Pit exit is open. This is the 6 hours of Spa free practice 3 session.
Yep, 5 years for that level of growth and more to come. Another anniversary this month, and this year, 20 years since the start of the other class in this race, GT3. The first race 20 years ago at Silverstone, that won were by Ferrari, Hector Lester and the late and very great Alan Simonson. But then we look to the present. What dramas await, do we think, Ant Davidson, with these Aston Martin Valkyries?
Well, it could be one of those cars, we just saw it on screen there, Graham, that it's beautiful to look at, and I think it's going to be in a better window around this circuit than it was in Imola. We heard from Fred Makawiki talking about the Alpine should be working better on this track without the bumps, without the curb strikes that you have to monster consistently in Imola, and that's very different here. So I think it might play to the Aston strengths a little bit, the Valkyrie, but I think the Alpine's going to be quick as well. So, and they were last year, 3rd place in the race, fighting these cars that we ride on board with now, with Giovinazzi at the wheel of car 51, and they had an entire 6-hour slogging match, didn't they, between the 3 of them, the 2 Ferraris and 1 Alpine, the whole way through. It was brilliant to watch. The Alpine didn't quite topple them, but it was very close. So can they continue that fight? It looks like, I mean, they topped the time sheets yesterday. They had 2 cars inside the top 3, so the Alpine's definitely one to watch here.
And in the finish last year, they were less than a second behind the 2nd place Ferrari at the checkered flag. So there was 5 seconds covering the top 3. And I think the difference this year is that the Alpine team are a year better at running the car, whereas Ferrari had a year in hand at that stage. It was their, 2nd year with their hypercar, whereas it was Alpine's 1st. And so I think that's what we're seeing with everybody, is that the rule set allows you to build a car that is within 99% of any of the others, and it's how you operate it that makes the difference. And whether your car suits the track, whether it rides the curbs, whether it rides the bump, how it deals with tyre deg and everything else. And so that's the issue for Genesis, who we ride on board with at the moment. Genesis Magma Racing, they're a test team. This is a test car. It's had 1 run out in a race. Yes, they got lots of data. Yes, they dealt with a couple of issues, but they're not, and I'm sure they would never pretend to be, anywhere near to 100% accurate operating efficiency of that car, and that is what needs to come. And that will be the case for Ford and McLaren when they arrive next year, and all the other newcomers.
Yeah, just a quick couple of penalties. A hangover from FP2 yesterday. Car 88, that's the Mustang in the hands this morning of Stefano Gattuso. That car will be spending 5 minutes on pit lane for a red flag infringement yesterday, and track limits infringement at the end of the session means we'll also be seeing the 23 Aston Martin in the hands of Gray Newell this morning, doing a similar 5-minute penalty. I was going to say, by the way, one of the things that we've seen with these hypercars here at Spa, we've had a couple of spectacular years of amazing passing opportunities in a variety of places on this circuit, particularly though, Ant Davidson, in that run from La Source down to Eau Rouge and up to Radion and Lauer, and then Fred Mako.
So we need to overlap brake and throttle. The rear left brake is a bit sluggish. Please keep monitoring.
It sounds like they're just trying to build a bit of rear brake temperature in that car. So asking the driver to ride, so basically be on throttle and put your left foot down on the brake at the same time to generate a bit of extra temperature.
One of 2 hypercar teams, in fact one of 2 teams, for which this is, quote, the home race, because although this is not BMW's home country, WRT that run the BMW hypercars and their LMGT3 program, you can almost throw a stone from here if you're casual about it and hit their workshop. They're so close to Spa Francorchamps. And also for Toyota. Toyota's German manufacturing base is about an hour away from here. So for Toyota, it is very much a second home race. Looking at Ford here with their LMGT3 program with the Mustangs, there is that 5 minutes pit hold for not slowing down quickly enough for the red flags at the end of yesterday's free practice 2 for the 88 car. Stefano Gattuso having to serve that. But Ford will be here next year with their hypercar. McLaren have already released images this week of their hypercar test mule on track, and they're kind of hyping it up as we build up to Le Mans. Is Ford behind the 8 ball? No, they're testing. They just haven't released any video yet. So we expect them to be very much on the programme as well, Graham.
A couple of bits of an update. We'll have Dan Sayers in for the team principal of the incoming Ford team in the booth very shortly. Listening for that. I'm sure we'll try and eke out what we can there. But another bit of news this morning on McLaren and the latest signing for their driver squad. Lawrence Vanthoor will be joining McLaren for 2027 and beyond.
Well, everybody wants to get his signature on a contract, don't they?
They do.
More about which later, but potentially. Finn Gersit's bumping to the top of the pile in LMGT3 in the 58 Garage 59 McLaren, ahead of the car of Petru Umbrarescu. And again, the Lexuses have been looking strong in practice. 21 Ferrari, just looking at it there. The Ferrari looking more of a competitive proposition here. It did not like Imola this year. It didn't like Imola last year. And I don't know what about the car. Patti Pregliasco and of course, the team could probably tell us in chapter and verse why the 296 GT3 does not like Imola, but it just doesn't, which is really frustrating for a Ferrari team at an Italian track, especially one that's closest to Maranello. Well, again, 2 cars in the pit lane. This is the 23 Heart of Racing Aston Martin, so Graham Newell in the car, waiting to serve that penalty. The Alpine Charles Milesi in the pit lane as well. That has been out and come straight back in, and that's a little bit of a concern. Don't really, well, better in free practice than in the race itself, but you don't really want cars to be getting to this stage of the weekend, 2 90-minute sessions in, and then deciding they want to stay in the garage. Well, let's catch up with Bruce Joanny for the first time today. He's been parley-vooing down at Alpine. What do we know, Bruce?
Well, yeah, I just had a chat with the people around Charles Milesi Alpine, who was actually performing extremely well yesterday. Alpine was 1-2, as Chase said earlier, but he had a loss of power. Twice in a single lap, came in, but they haven't been able to figure out the problem yet.
Okay, that's a slight worry, isn't it? All right, well, he has gone back out, so hopefully turning it off and on, turn me off and on again rather than Bruce. Turning it off and on again might have worked. It's early in the day. A little bit of sparking and plank wear going there through the compression at Eau Rouge. Anthony, Eau Rouge is one of those fabulous corners that is still a big challenge in these cars. It's not easy flat. It does take an awful lot of cojones to carry the speed through there, and because the straight that follows it is so steep uphill, it's still a critical part of any lap, isn't it?
It depends on the car, really. I think it's more of a challenge for the LMGT3 drivers, actually, to get through there, and we see track limits more of an issue at the top of Eau Rouge than it is for the hypercar category, but I think it depends on fuel load and tyre wear. And if you're obviously at the beginning of a stint, it's much harder to take full throttle in one of these cars we see on screen now. But it's always an exhilarating ride, no matter what you drive up there. I've been up there in loads of different categories, Formula Ford, Formula 3, you name it, all the way up to...
You raced in Formula Ford?
Yeah, I raced in the Formula Ford. And I tell you what, that was probably the most scary car of all to take through.
I bet it was.
And in qualifying, it was just about flat out back in those days, just about flat out. And the corner really hasn't changed, or corners, they haven't changed that much, but it's always an exhilarating ride. And I think we were just talking about power, the Alpine, with their power unit problems, whatever's going on down there. Hopefully they can sort it, but this is a power track. You know, make no mistake, it's really a power circuit. Yes, you need the downforce for the middle sector, but sector 1 includes Raidillon and Eau Rouge. If it is flat out, that means there's just one corner, effectively at the source, the first corner. So it is just that power. You're power limited basically through the entire Eau Rouge section, all the way up to the top of the Kemmel straight. So we see, so that's turn 1, the source, and then you're flat, all the way downhill towards Raidillon here. Left, right, left, at the top, feel the G-force through your body as you compress there, and then you go light in the car as it goes up and over the crest, and you're still flat out. You haven't lifted all the way up until the curb on the left-hand side that comes up, the red and white curb. You brake just before that, there we go, or yellow and red curb, they've changed it in recent years, but that shows you how long you're full throttle for. And if you haven't got the horsepower behind you to take you up that hill, you're in trouble in 6-1 at least.
You really are, aren't you? And if somebody gets in the slipstream behind you, you're absolutely a dead duck, because you're giving them a power boost and it's slowing you down as well. Ferrari 1-2-3 at the moment. As you can see, the 83 car, of course, is the yellow AF Corsa car, the privateer car. Robert Kubica ahead of currently Antonio Giovinazzi and Antonio Fuoco. And then Peugeot, fourth fastest at the moment.
Okay, so next lap should be clear. Just stay where you are. Stay where you are. Next lap should be clear.
What's the significance there? Why is a clear lap important for Will Stevens?
Well, he did the second fastest time yesterday in FP2, but it was disallowed for track limits. So on record, it won't show him as being second quickest, but he did set the second fastest time, split the two Alpines. So it's an important one for Will to just get a lap time on the board, but you obviously need a free track to do that.
But also, it's a quali sim run, isn't it? This is the driver who's going to qualify with the car in the spec in which he's going to qualify. And I was thinking about this morning in one of those shower moments like you do, thinking you spend... So the two caddies, you've got two, quote, identical cars, goes to the top of the pile, 202, so still a second off what we saw, second and a half off what we saw yesterday at free practice 2 later in the day. You've got two ostensibly identical cars, but you've got two trios of drivers, so the cars are going to diverge. Then one of those three drivers has to get it at least 1,000th of a quicker than everybody, of a second quicker than everybody else. He's gone 23 thousandths quicker than Kubica's best lap time, over 7 kilometers. We're talking about insanely tiny margins of difference. And that's why having one clean practice run, a qualifying simulation run, is really important, because you're talking about such fine margins that you have to get the car how you want it, not how the others want it, how you want it for qualifying. Otherwise, you almost might as well not bother.
Tension going on there for the Lexus cars. That is the 87 car, Petro Umberescu. While
he's got a rag there over the radiator cap, hasn't he? We've all been there and done that on the hard shoulder of the motorway.
Wanted to just add a quick piece of info here for those tuning in for the first time this week. That number 12 caddy, by the way, different driver this week. Louis Delatraz making his debut with the team in the absence of Alex Lynn. Get well soon, Alex. Come back to us soon. But be good to see how Louis, who does campaign, of course, Cadillac in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, as well as his LMP2 duties in Europe, just how good he's going to be.
And the same that Jack Aitken, who missed Imola because he was racing in Long Beach in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Series, that he's back here. But why? You don't have to have 3 drivers. You can easily do with 2, and Aston Martin have. But you want to get yourself into that 3-driver routine before you get to Le Mans. So it's interesting in my head that the Aston Martin Heart Racing team have not got their Le Mans lineup in the cars, even though they should, in theory, all be free to be here. They've gone with a 2-driver lineup, which they can't do at Le Mans. So it's a rehearsal for Le Mans, except you're not dress rehearsing with the whole cast. You've only got 2/3 of the operating team. I think that seems a little of an interesting choice.
Peugeot going up on the hijacks here.
Yeah.
That's not good at this point. 45 minutes to go in this session.
And a key point there is driver out of car, which means it's not going to be a quick job. So that was Stoffel van Dorn. The Peugeot is in the top 6 on times. Here's the 94, the sister car.
And they were quick here last year as well, actually, weren't they, Peugeot? They had a much better race, at least, than they had in Imola this year. They qualified well in Imola, but then just continued to slip back throughout the entire race. And on average, their fastest times at these set in the cars, they were the slowest of all during Imola. So that was a surprise based on their qualifying performance. Hopefully they can have a better race here.
Yeah, but the car balance is horrible. The ride are bottoming so much. Both in Rouge and Blanchimont, it's impossible to do flat. The rear is so sketchy on entry. I'm engaging way too hard.
Maybe not then.
Not so much.
No, it was good feedback. It gives the engineers something
100%.
to focus on, something to work on. And you know, he's not alone, is he? Look, there's a car going wide as well at the top of Eau Rouge. So he's not alone there. And this is going to be a great onboard shot of that moment. You've got the compression that Jakobsen was talking about. And so he's not alone. It could be a wind direction change. That can differ your ride heights. If you're suddenly going into a headwind there, for example, instead of a tailwind from yesterday, perhaps, then that will change your ride heights. You've got to be aware of that as an engineering team. And so it's good that he's reported it, because he knows the car's not right, and that part of the track should be full throttle. That's what he's accustomed to. So there's some changes that need to be made.
The other thing we saw there with that BMW, with that little sort of shimmy in the compression, I was thinking back to Renger van der Zande 3 years ago, when he shimmied in the compression, but the car steering locked solid. The electric power steering just locked solid. He just went straight on into the bottom of the grandstand.
But
it was the same, and it was the same that Pietro Fittipaldi had in the Dragon Speed car 2 or 3 years earlier in ELMS, and that compression does strange things to suspension and to bodywork and to everything else.
Well, they will probably, when you're designing a power steering system, you'll design it around such moments like that in Eau Rouge for the compression. And under those extreme compression moments, that's where the tyre gets a big squash, and that puts the load obviously through the whole power steering system, so that you design it around moments like that.
Pretty view of the Mustang there. That's very appropriate, perfect timing, because, Graham...
Yeah, well, got a big blue rumbly car there, and there's going to be another big rumbly car coming to the WEC in 2027. Delighted to be joined in the booth by project manager for the incoming Ford Hypercar programme for next season. Welcome back to the paddock to Dan Sayers. Dan, delight to see you. Bigger delight still to see the Blue Oval coming to Hypercar and back to top-class sports car racing for the first time in 82. But before that, the Ford GTs 60 years ago.
Yeah, thank you very much. Nice to be here. And yeah, we're in full swing for the programme now for the Hypercar. Obviously, the GTs are going well here, but yeah, my primary focus is certainly on the Hypercar programme for next year.
Now, it's difficult to know where to start with questions on this one, but I'm going to start with a pretty simple one. Through those 60 years, the Ford-Ferrari story has been a huge storyline. We had that continued into the GT Pro era with the amazing Ford GT. But you've got another of Ford's huge market rivals here in GM. Who do you want to meet the most?
That's a tricky one. I think everybody, you know, our objective is quite clear. Le Mans is the focus. That's the objective, go and win Le Mans outright. And of course, to do that, we have to beat the best Ferrari, Toyota, Cadillac. The level is so high, and we're not underestimating it. So again, it's clear what we have to do. Now we just need to execute it.
Where are you with the programme at the moment? We've heard a little bit, we've seen a little bit in terms of an idea what the car's going to look like. Tell us a little bit about progress.
Progress is going well. It's all to schedule at the moment. So the powertrain is all being tested in the States on the powertrain dyno. So we're mating the hybrid unit with all of the fired engine. So again, that is in full development. The control software is all being developed in the US by the engineers at Ford there as well in Detroit. All of the CFD we've done in conjunction with Orica and our engineers in Charlotte. Again, everything's on track, and we're going to hit the track come August. That's the intention.
And we'll see.
And we're on track.
Lots to do. I know the fan base wants to see it, wants to hear it, and we'll talk about that in a moment, and wants to hear more about who's going to complete your driver's squad. When are they going to get there? So we're going to see it and hear it in August. What about when we get to the stage where you can complete that driver lineup?
It's fairly complex with drivers at the moment. The market's changing, obviously, with what's happening. So we hope to announce more in Le Mans.
Okay.
It won't be the complete lineup, but we'll for sure make some announcements in Le Mans, and then as soon as we can, but July, August time again.
One thing you are going to be going to competition with is the most gorgeous sounding car, Coyote V8. We've got the Caddy out there with the big V8. We've got the Valkyrie out there with the V12. What can we expect?
Well, this is the first engine we've developed in-house as well, so the first race engine, I should say. So again, the guys have done a great job, the team out in the States. It's hitting all the targets, which is important. It'll have to sound American, of course, and it will do. But you know, the performance, the mass, the power targets, all of those are being met at the moment. So they've done a fantastic job.
You've been out of our paddock here at the WEC for a few years now. I'll tell the audience, previously involved at a senior level with Aston Martin. Tell me about your impression of what you're seeing coming back to this at this stage.
The level at the moment is incredible. There's no question, and nobody at Ford underestimates the level of that. So again, we need to make sure we execute ourselves, we focus on ourselves, and we just get the best out of everything. But yeah, we don't underestimate it.
And Dan, you mentioned Le Mans. Obviously, that's the one all the manufacturers want to win, and the drivers as well. But this is a World Championship, and what does that mean to a manufacturer these days with the World Endurance Championship being so strong and competitive, as you mentioned? What kind of weight does that bring to a manufacturer as well?
It certainly adds weight. You know, the World Championship is what everybody wants, and we are racing now against a huge number of manufacturers, some of the biggest in the world, and that's where kind of Ford belong. And that's why we're doing this program, and that's what we're here to do. We're here to win that, and again, win Le Mans.
It's how many now? 9 manufacturers we'll have by the end of this season. There sort of seems to be a race to the track at the moment with our two newcomers, you guys and McLaren. They're a nice target to have. World Championship winning team, of course, for them in Formula One. Is there that sense of measuring yourself against their progress?
I think we try and measure ourselves against our progress. We're pushing the development to the latest point, because the longer you spend designing and optimizing everything virtually, in theory, the better product you have. So again, we are sticking to our schedule. We try not to look outside, and we think we've got that right. So we are pushing everything to the nth degree to ensure we have enough time to test, but we can maximize everything virtually first.
Good luck with it all. We're going to be seeing an awful lot more of you, your boys and girls involved in the development, and eventually next year, the racing for this car. Round 1 looms in 2027, but for now, Dan says we're going to say thanks a lot, get back to the engineering and get this thing on track, because we're desperate to see it.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, Dan.
Cheers.
Yeah, it's going to be really good fun to see and hear different noises and sounds. And this is, Anthony, what, as fans and as drivers, is so important about endurance racing, is that it's not a spec formula, it's not the same car and engine noise. Everything is different to everything else, and that allows, you know, sort of tribal support, Ford fans or Ferrari fans or whatever. So I love that we're going to get even more variety.
I do think that is one of the biggest appeals of the World Endurance Championship, for me anyway, to stand on the sidelines. We weren't commentating during FP1 or FP2, but we choose that day to get our eye in and just to watch these cars out on track like we did, and that's one of the beauties, just to hear the diversity of engine noise. That, for me, is such a big lure of this championship, and we're going to have a full crowd here tomorrow watching the race, of course, like we had last year, and it's just it's great for them to not just spot the different looks of cars, but the different sounds as well, and that they all have their own unique personality from that.
And it's not just in hypercar, because we have exactly the same in LMGT3. Just had a look in the Garage 59 Garage 59 McLarens are first and second. This is the 3rd quickest car, the 21 Ferrari, back where it sort of expects to be, a little closer to the front of the pack. Then the 2 Proton competition cars, 77 and 88, the 2 Ford Mustangs. So again, you've got V8 McLaren, V6 Ferrari and a V8 Ford sounding utterly different. You know, one of the great things about GT3, its success over the last 20 years, is whatever you've got, you can make it fit the rule set, and that works as well for hypercar. You know, what have you got? Bring it. What do you want to design? Do you want to base it on a road car? Do you want hybrid? You don't have to do any of those. Bring it. You've just got to fit this, you know, very closely defined set of parameters, and you're in.
Well, what GT3's done in the GT marketplace, the racing marketplace, is to provide variety and stability, and that's what we've seen in these 20 years. I mean, obviously we've left behind the much-loved GTE rule set, but what we've got in this LMGT3 era is much more depth in terms of the makes and models that are involved in production-based racing at this level, and it's glorious. It's absolutely glorious. Effectively, no matter what your favourite car is, if it's reasonably accessible in the marketplace, it's here and it's racing.
Yeah, and GTE, you know, the final couple of years of GTE, it was Ferrari versus Porsche, and that's all that was left. So changing to LMGT3 has given us this wide variety of different manufacturers. So we've now got 9 manufacturers in the class, rather than the 2 that we had sort of as it disappeared. Belgium, you can't disassociate this man from Belgium or endurance racing, can you? Jackie X, multiple Le Mans winner, and looking as happy and as healthy as he's been for a long while. He's kind of the totemic representative for Genesis Magma Racing, and always great to see him here. A couple more penalties. 5-minute stop and go for car number 34.
It's Racing Team Turkey's Corvettes.
Yeah, and Sally Olic under investigation for track limits. Anthony Davidson, let's ride on board as we go for backup radio. Yankee 7 target 1. Right, okay. Don't know what that means. Take us around Spa Francorchamps.
Yeah, so here we're riding on board with Norman Nato in the car number 12 Cadillac. So this is La Source. We talked about this one earlier on, one of the slowest corners on the track. Get a nice clean exit out of this one and flat out down, hug the inside wall, the kick there to the right, down towards Radion to the left. Use the curb on the left-hand side. Don't use the curb on the right, but everything on the left to keep them within track limits. Full throttle through Eau Rouge. Then it kinks to the right, and you carry on heading uphill here that we talked about before. Picks up a slipstream of the GT car in front. Pick your braking point, ease the car in, use the curb on the right-hand side, and then compromise the left of turn 6 up at Le Combe, and then use the curb on the right-hand side and on the exit of turn 7. Good overtaking opportunity. Doesn't think, yeah, he thinks about it, but wasn't quite close enough before turn 8. The long right-hander. Then you back down the hill before the Jackie X corner. Funnily enough, at turn 9, having just seen him on the screen. So you pass the car there, get back onto the line before Pouon, the double left-hander of turns 10 and 11. Watch out for track limits on the right-hand side. Up through the gears, you feel the G-force really building through that one on the left-hand side of the neck particularly. And then you're into turn 12, 13, the Piff Path they call it. The locals called it, at least, and one of your favourite parts of the track, I think, for that reason, Martin. Before we head to the next right-hander that follows after that sequence, Stavelot, use all the curb on the left-hand side without touching the gravel, and then flat through the Anthony Noge, is it? No, Curve Paul Frere. So French,
yeah,
a French sounding name.
That's
Monaco.
Right,
yes, another French sounding corner, and that's why I stick to corner numbers instead. Now down towards the final chicane of turns 19 and 20, the bus stop chicane, and this is the slowest part of the circuit. Really compromise the right to open up the left and get on power nice and early. Actually, looks like he was building up actually another prep lap here. And that's an extreme kind of process that you'll see them do more in qualifying. On a racing lap, or on your actual qualifying lap, you won't be quite as extreme on the right-hander of turn 18. So, yeah, that was a good example of what to expect for a qualifying prep lap. By the way, if you do go all 4 wheels over the white line on the exit of 19, the final corner, not only will the lap you're on be deleted, your following lap as well will be deleted, because you're effectively giving yourself a better run to start your lap.
No Rosberg cutting the corners to give yourself a flying start across the line. Let's hear from Genesis Magma Racing.
It's so easy to lock the inside, the front right, so I think we need to check again the cross weights. Like I went backwards by 1% on the bias and backwards on migration, but I can't seem to stop locking.
It's good. That kind of feedback is excellent because the engineers will probably get there themselves anyway in checking things like the cross weights of the car, which have to be neutral, and unless you're racing on an oval, which this isn't, of course. So it's just the driver's responsibility in that moment is to fast track the engineer's eyes where they're looking. So by flagging it, saying, look, I've already gone rearwards on the brake bias. Think of it like your bicycle. You've got the front brake and the rear brake. In a racing car, it's kind of like it's locked in how much pressure you put on both levers, if you like. And you can change that via controls on the steering wheel. But it's only, you can only change it via that process. So you can feel inside the car, oh, I'm locking the fronts more than the rear. So you then can modulate that via the controls. And he said, I've already gone 1% rearwards in my brake bias. I'm still locking, which feels to me the inside front every time. I'm guessing it's the right front because it's a clockwise circuit. The right front might be a little bit colder, so it's not quite responding in the same way as the left front. But and he's just, sorry, just to finish off, he's telling the engineers that check this in the data if you can, because I feel something's not right here.
I was just going to ask, is he on a split set of tyres? So you've got that.
While you're looking at that, there is a driver change here. Andre Lotterer will be getting aboard. Also still on pit lane, by the way, or by the way, the garage, the troubled Alpine number 35. But the 87 Lexus now back into the session after what looked like a bit of an overheating problem for that car.
So they started this session, to answer your question there, started the session on a full set of medium tyres. So it could be, you know, this is the hardest compound we have available here this weekend. So it could be the fact that the inside front is just not heating up quickly enough.
Well, let's get down to Genesis Magma Racing and hear from a legend.
And let's get inside of the garage and meet with Jackie just after the driver change. Jackie, first time for Genesis on such an iconic racetrack, and your home track as well. How does it feel?
Well, it's difficult to say I don't feel well. We feel extremely happy, I must admit. We have a lot to learn. We have to remain humble, but the car functions very well. We have a great team. The human aspect of the team is almost perfect as well, so it's very enjoyable. And yes, you're right, Spa is very special, and things are going well for us globally. We are happy of what we have created, but the but is we have to climb the mountain when the opposition is so strong. As you can see, the times are very narrow between first and 10th place. It's demanding, but that was the goal we were looking for. And in Korea, they believe, they love the idea of to make the impossible possible. That's our goal.
Excellent. And I saw you're having an input with every driver, especially Mathis Jobert, who was just there, and you're giving him tips about how to drive and how to behave and how to be.
Well, it's not quite true because I don't have any lessons to give to anyone, but I trust strongly about the fact that he's young and doing very well. But we have few drivers who are really good. But the cohesion between the drivers, that's about long distance. It's a team because you have 3 guys in a car, and the global aspect, it's to be together. It's not to beat another. The goal is right very high in the, it's a kind of Everest.
Excellent. Thank you for your time, for your humility as always, and your smile.
Thank you.
Yeah, great to hear from the legend, Jackie X, together with our little legend, Bruce Ioane. You mentioned Mathis Jobert. We're going to go to a full course yellow, by the way. I think that is debris. That'll be coming in about 25 seconds. Won a race in the LMS and GT last weekend.
Full course yellow in less than 15 seconds. Full course yellow in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Full course yellow, full course yellow.
So yeah, Jackie mentioning the young gun, the young star at Genesis Motor Racing, and one to watch.
We will be sending marshals on drivers left at T2. We will be sending marshals on drivers left at T2 to remove the debris from the track. So at T2, please bear right. At the apex of T2 or Rouge, please bear right. We're sending marshals there now.
That is not a dive plane. That looks like a corner of splitter. And the car was bottoming pretty heavily there. Louis Delatraz, as we mentioned earlier, joining Cadillac Hertz Team Jota this weekend.
Nice to hear
Nice
our race director as well, also getting corner names and numbers mixed up, because that's actually Radion.
Great job done from the marshals. We are preparing to bring the track back to green.
I'm gonna jump in before you all pile on. Eau Rouge is the compression. Radion is the
full
top
course yellow
corner
to
four.
be removed at 46.15 in roughly 30 seconds to end FCY. 25 seconds. 20 seconds.
We will remove full course yellow in less than 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Full course yellow removed.
So a whole host of cars in the pit lane, lots of driver changes, and you wonder whether now we're just putting some miles on the car. 20 minutes or so remaining of our 1 hour final practice.
It was a year ago that Finn Gersitz got his first pole in the WEC. It was here at Spa. Finn, now you're back with the McLaren, looking strong so far this weekend. Maybe we'll see another pole?
Yeah, let's see. I mean, it was a lovely day last year, and actually I think it was 3 years ago, my very first pole position in the Michelin Le Mans Cup here in Spa also, and then in the WEC my first Hyperpole. Yeah, so I absolutely love this track. It's a very challenging track. For example, with the parts with the Eau Rouge, and you have really, really high-speed parts where, where you need to be one with the car. But I love this track, and here with the McLaren and Garage 59, I think we have a really strong lineup, and let's try to repeat what we did last year.
What is it about this track that you think is working well with the McLarens? Because we've seen good speed so far.
I think on this track, it's the challenge is to get like a good car on the whole track, because you have so many different parts, like high speed, slow speed, medium speed, combined corners with left and right corners where you need a very strong car balance. And I think in those conditions, the McLaren is just working very well. You feel really confident with this car in the high speed corners, which is quite important to get the confidence. And I think on this circuit, you especially need this confidence, right?
Good luck later on in qualifying, and we'll see you in Hyperpole, hopefully.
Hopefully, thank you very much.
I'd love to see like the family measuring stick with how tall Finn Gersitz was for each of those pole positions, because it's like his mum and dad are making him sleep with his feet in a grow bag.
The answer was tiny until he was 14, then grew 2 meters overnight.
Yes,
but you've got to admire his enthusiasm. How infectious is that?
That's great.
And they are 1-2, the McLarens as well. Paul de Resta, Stoffel Van Dorn there. Just debriefing as the car has headed out. Both Peugeots back out on track. Norman Nato we rode on board with. We sort of forgot to mention, Ant, that he was the quickest car. Cadillac Hertz Team Jota's number 12 car, Louis Delatraz, now fastest. And going through the Miami Marina at the top at Les Combes is the 94 Peugeot.
No, it looks like the locking was caused by low front tire temperature.
So yeah, we heard before with the Genesis, didn't we, with Dirani saying he was locking the inside front everywhere, and so that's Peugeot on the radio to Duval saying this lockup's coming from tyre temperature.
Under full course yellow in less than 15 seconds. Full course yellow in 10. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Full course yellow, full course yellow.
debris, and that will be gravel at turn 10, which is Pouon. Tyre change, full fat service for the number 12 Cadillac.
We will be sending marshals from the right-hand side at T10. All cars to bear totally left at T10. We're sending marshals from the right-hand side.
Tricky one at Pouon, of course, because there is no clear sighting back to the previous corner. So hopefully they can do that quickly and safely.
And that, of course, is where marshals rely on the previous marshal supposed to say, here's a, or you know, at Les Comps, radioing down the line, here's a gap, here's a gap, here's a gap. Okay, no, wait.
Marshals on track at T10.
And of course, everybody's doing 80 kilometers an hour, 50 miles an hour. So even at very pedestrian speeds, you should be able to happily avoid them. Danny Honkadea getting ready to take over the Genesis Magma machine as it comes in.
We were looking at the Cadillac changing tyres there, as you spotted.
We are removing full course yellow at 10:51:15. In 33 seconds, we are removing full course yellow.
I got 15 seconds maybe to just explain that, yeah, so they started on a full set of brand new softs.
25 seconds.
So that will have been their quali sim, and now they're back on a used tyre?
We will remove full course yellow in less than 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Full course yellow removed.
On the WRT LMGT3 pit wall, Rahal Fry, who was racing last year for the Iron Dames. There's Dorian Pan in the garage as well at Peugeot, and she was in Lewis Hamilton's Mercedes Formula One car at Silverstone just over a week ago.
Yeah, it was the 2021 car, so a proper rocket ship of an F1 car, and had a great time around the international track at Silverstone. Got a real flavour of what F1 machinery can do, and yeah, very jealous, Dorian, very jealous.
I saw a little interview with Lewis actually, and he was saying, yeah, I'm so pleased for her that she got to drive that car. And he said, I can remember still the impact that the first ever time I drove the Formula One car had on me. And because, Anthony, as you know, it's not a sort of gentle step up from anything else. It is a continental void in performance, clear of anything you will ever have driven.
Absolutely, it's like going from a kind of bog standard road car, and you've got used to that, and then jumping in a hypercar.
One of these, yeah.
It's basically, that is the transition from, there's nothing in between, and nothing prepares you for how ferociously fast an F1 car is. It really, and it's not really the power, it's just how much grip you have. I would say that car in particular, the 2021 car, I did drive it actually a couple of years ago around Austin, and it was on my very first lap, I circulated 5 seconds quicker than my pole position time in LMP1 back in the day. My very first day, it's laughably fast, and it turns a circuit like this one into such a high speed affair that yeah, nothing prepares you for it. It's magical.
I can remember Martin Brundle saying that after the winter layoff, having not driven a car for sort of 6 or 8 weeks, he said the first time you get back in the car, he said, you know in Star Trek when they go into warp drive and all the stars just go zhunk, he said that's what happens to the scenery, and it takes time for your brain to get used to it. Graham?
Yeah, under 70 minutes to go, so who's quick? Well, it's still the number 12 Cadillac Hurst Team Joda car. That was a time set earlier by Will Stevens, a 2:02.379.
It's gone back to the top. It was the 38 car of Norman Nato, then that was improved on by the Aston Martin 007, then the AF Corsa 83 went quicker, and now the number 12 car's gone back to the top of the pile again, and the top 4 are covered by 1/10 of a second.
It's 23 thousandths of a second ahead of the 83 AF Corsa, the yellow Ferrari course, then the 007 Aston Martin, then the 38 Cadillac, the 2 factory Ferraris. It's quite a way down before we get to Alpine, who are topping the times at FP2 yesterday. In GT3, LMGT3, it is Garage 59. Remember what an astonishing race the number 10 had before that alternator failure that robbed them of a finish. in Imola, but it's the number 58 car that tops the times ahead of the number 10, a 1-2 then for Garage 59. Then that Vesta AF Corsa car that we just heard from Shea is getting a full brake change, and the 92, the Bend Montai Porsche.
Yeah, full brake change for the 21 Ferrari, and Francois Heriot in the car for the first time. So whether they had an issue or whether they were bedding in a new set remains to be seen. Heart of Racing Aston Martin 27, fifth quickest, and then the two Lexuses, again, very much the pace setters in qualifying and in free practice in Imola. And their race, well, one car had an engine issue, one car had a transmission issue, so really yeah, tough break for them. Proton Competition's two Fords, both in the top 10, and the best of the Iron Lynx Mercedes rounds out the top 10 as well in the hands of Rui Andrade.
Now this car, this is interesting. So we talked about the Valkyries earlier on. They've been inside, with at least one of their cars, they've been inside the top 4 in every session so far. And that's a big contrast to where they were in Imola. So watch this car. I mean, it's consistently fast all the way through. The 007 hasn't been the faster car until this session. So they've got on top of things. Yeah, really intrigued to see what Aston can do in this qualifying and coming up in the next.
They gave us a couple of shrill moments, didn't they, in the run for Hyperpole at Imola, but they're going to be in amongst it. You made the point at the top of the show, Ant, that Toyota had not featured in the top 10. They're still not.
They're still not.
In this. Just want to add as well, by the way, car 34, that's a Racing Team Turkey car. Another 5-minute stop and go for track limits in this session.
And again, it's Sally Jolic, and I'm struggling to understand quite why he's so A, off the pace, and B, off the track all the time. That's, I think we think he's better than he seems to be today.
Yellow's removed at turn 5-6. That's been a moment, I think, the 92 Porsche, that is in the hands of Richard Leitz, fifth quickest.
Ooh.
And that is an unusual occurrence indeed.
Making a note in my diary. I wonder if he was tripped over by a hypercar or tripped over a hypercar, because when the GT car is sort of on the brakes, the hypercar can whistle by and stop dead in front of you. So hypercar drivers have to be aware not only of the length of their car, but also of its ability to become a brick wall in front of a GT car.
92, by the way, is now causing yellow flags at turn 8, so there's a problem for that car.
Yeah, it's stopped at Beau Rivage.
Well, we're not a million miles away from finding out just where the form book is going to be in qualifying. Remember, WEC TV Plus, now with the app launch, and there is the 92 car at a standstill. No apparent damage to the car.
On this side,
no,
yes.
On this side. Must be technical, because he was going slowly after turns 5, 6 and 7, and this is on the outside of turn 8, so it managed to limp round to this part. It's done a good job to get it to the opening in the for the marshals to recover the car as quick as possible. But
that's a sign of a pro, isn't it?
Absolutely.
He's come all the way round past the gravel trap and just, okay, this is going in. I wonder if he even had an engine. Looks like he's just rolled possibly down the hill.
8, 7.
Quick wash and brush up at Genesis.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Full course yellow. Full course yellow.
So we are intervening with. We are intervening at T8. We are intervening at T8 with a telehandler. Please tell drivers we're intervening at T8 with the telehandler. We have double waved yellow flags covering T8.
So while they're dealing with that, that looks as if it could be quite quick. We've got just under 12 minutes left of the session. Remember, you can stream this session, qualifying Hyperpole, every lap of the races. It's ad-free, it's uninterrupted with onboards, and every battle on track live, or indeed on demand, with the WEC Plus at plus.fiwc.com is where you can get it. And after a couple of struggles in getting that app up and running, that's now away and clear, as we're hearing some good things from users about their experience with that app, and look forward to seeing more with the WC Originals and full access as the season progresses.
Little follow-up on Richie Leitz, by the way. Not only, I think he just rolled down the hill there with no engine, I wonder, or no transmission, no drive, whatever. Richie Leitz has won every LMGT3 race here in WEC. Yes, he has. In 2024, when it made its debut, it was Manthey EMA, Richie Leitz, Maurice Schuring and Yasser Shaheen. Last year, it was the 92 Manthey First Form car, Ryan Hardwick, Ricardo Pera and Richie Leitz.
Just as we see some changes going on with Team WRT, driver change there for the 32. The car ahead of it, I was reminded of this by the fact we just saw Thierry Tassin on pit wall, number 69. As you'll recall, if you tuned in for Imola, that car will be wearing a different BMW Heritage livery every race. This time, it's the 1986 Spa 24 winning, and it looks absolutely amazing.
General feeling at the beginning, lap times were very competitive. What's your initial feedback?
Yeah, it felt better, improved. Generally, we picked up a bit of understeer in the nice areas of mid-corner, 12 to 13. My gut feeling is this isn't enough still for hotter track temps, but it's good now. If we were to race in these conditions over a double stint, I'm confident with it.
It's always that, quite literally, that balancing act of predicting what the track's going to do. It usually, from my experience anyway, it usually sort of migrated more towards a more stable rear end in the car. And that's what Phil is trying to assess right now, knowing or predicting at least where the track is likely to go based on the balance you have at the moment. It's such a hard thing to get right. And then obviously it's locked in. As soon as you start that 6-hour race, there's not much you can do with the car. Maybe a few tyre pressure adjustments here and there, and obviously you've got the beauty of being able to mix and match tyre compounds in this category of racing, in the hypercar at least, and that's all you have as a balancing tool. There's no adjustments that you can do on the splitter or the rear wing. That is locked in under these regulations.
So was he saying that it's not quite understeery enough yet in the cold?
That's how I interpreted it, but he also said he feels confident it's a good enough balance that you can go into those. So here is the number 92 that limped through the escape route through turns 5 and 6, and I do wonder if he actually had any power at all.
What he definitely knew was, although it could roll downhill, it wasn't going to roll back uphill to the pits.
They're struggling here. There's not a lot of room for them to manoeuvre that telehandler. It's sort of wrong side of it.
Not much room to park it either. It'll be hanging off the telehandler, I think.
Okay, Louis, how is the car?
It's all fine. Definitely more understeer than yesterday, especially medium to high speed stuff, like turn 10, turn 15. But it's fine. Just a lot of traffic.
Yeah, copy that. Copy that.
Yeah, he's in his zone, isn't he?
Definitely gains some entry stability, especially in the just late entry phase.
And that's what I was saying. So he's feeling that rear stability improve after FP1, FP2 into today. A little bit cooler, that always helps as well. But naturally, the circuit just carries on evolving all the way through to the end of the race. And your balance will change therefore as well because of that factor.
Let's hear from the 21 Ferrari team.
I am in the Vista F Corse team with Alessio Rovera, the platinum driver on the number 21 Ferrari. How does it look like this weekend? It looks like it's getting together a bit better than in Imola.
Yeah, of course, this is a track that suits really well our car, I have to say, because we have a lot of downforce in fast corners. We are pretty confident. So big work in these 2 days for checking the setup, because we are here with the Evo car. A bit different compared to the standard version, but yeah, we changed a bit the setup. Tomorrow will be a bit warmer during the race, so I think we are in a good position.
What is the advantage of the new package?
Basically, last year we had a big difficulty in following other cars. It was really difficult for us, and this year is much better. We are more confident in the race, and we'll see tomorrow.
Thank you very much. Good luck.
Thank you.
Winner of the last GTE AM race here for Ferrari, Alessio Rovera with Luis Perez Compac and Lila Wadu. Ferrari also won the last GTE Pro race here back in 2022 with James Collado and Alessandro Pierguidi. Most successful GT team, and oh, don't drop it, team and driver lineup here. the 98 Aston Martin. Paul Dall'Anna, Pedro Lamy and Matthias Lauda won 4 years in a row in GTE-AM here. That, I mean, they were just the kings of Spa in GTE-AM.
Yeah, Toyota cruising around under this continued full course yellow. They're clearly struggling to get that car to a place of safety.
Apologies for the silence, we're just having some radio interference coming through unexpectedly from a customer. So 5 minutes remaining in the free practice session. You might get one more representative lap out of this, but full course yellow, as you can see, or you saw a moment or two ago on the panels of the car.
30 seconds at 11:05:45.
So we'll get back down to it. Oh, there's a pretty screensaver shot.
20 seconds.
Wind screensaver. Will Stevens, Norman Arter, and currently at the wheel, Louis Delatraz, fastest
in less than 15
in hypercar.
seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Full course yellow removed.
And if you're wondering why we get live Eduardo Freitas, but Lisa's countdowns and messages are recorded, it's because she's spinning plates in the other 11 million jobs that she does in race control. Right, let's get back down to the Toyota garage, the winningest team here. Let's hear from Ryo Hirakawa.
Rio, such a strong Imola, and we're arriving here and we haven't seen the Toyota in the top 10. Is it because the circuit? How do we explain this?
You know, the Spa is quite different track. I would say Imola was more suitable for us, while the Spa is quite different, you know, having some high-speed corners and the big straights. So yeah, we're trying our best to fine-tune, but so far we're struggling, I would say, but yeah, I think we're really okay in quali and the race.
Yeah, you're always okay in quali and the race, we know that at Toyota, but we see something, and Anthony Davidson was saying that you guys could ride the curves very well in Imola, and that seems to be the strength of the car, which is running pretty soft. Is it why it's not working so well here?
Yeah, that's why. I mean, here it's only turn 5, 6, 7 section, and then the rest is just flat, so we don't have benefit for that, but I mean, still we need to optimize, and this is the last chance to test before Le Mans, so we are trying our best.
Thank you very much. Looking forward to quali this afternoon.
Yeah, thank you.
Anthony, if it's not working here, that's a real worry for Le Mans, isn't it? I mean, it's great, it rides curbs, yeah, fantastic, who cares? Because you've got to be good at the low grip, high speed stuff here.
It did cross my mind, and that's why I think, knowing him like I do, Sebastian Buemi, his post-race interview in Imola, where he said, obviously he was very happy that the team won, but he wasn't ecstatic, and I read a bit into that because he said, let's see what happens at the next race.
Let's see what Cadillac think.
Will Stevens, Spa has certainly been a good track to you in the past. You got an overall win here a couple years back. One more win moves you into the double digits. Do you think it's possible that maybe Cadillac makes it to the top step this weekend?
I hope so. I do like the stats that you do come up with. It's always good to know where we are, but I think honestly this week so far we've been pretty good. Obviously focusing a bit more on qualifying performance in FP3, so that looks in a good window as well. So it's always just about focus on trying to start at the sharp end, but obviously trying to have a good race car as well. But we're confident with the package we have here this weekend. It's obviously good learning going to Le Mans in a different nature circuit here in Spa. But we're looking good. Hopefully we can get that next win and move into double digits.
How's it been having Louis join you guys this week?
It's been good, honestly. I think that's what's great about the Cadillac program, how it's all been run. You know, we all work very closely together. So in these situations, it's easy for someone to slot in, and Louis is someone that me and Norman have known for many years, so he's fitted in very well with the team straight away, and I see it being no issue at all, him slotting in for this weekend and hopefully helping us to a good result.
And guys, a little portent of good luck. The last time Will Stevens' son Cooper came to the track was Sao Paulo. They finished on the top step there. Cooper's here this weekend, so let's see what happens.
All right, cool. And among her many, many attributes, Shay comes out with some astonishing stats and facts and statistics. So good stuff. Louis Delatraz on board the number 12 car. Anthony, hearing yesterday from Sam Hignett that these are not the cars that raced in Imola. These two cars are brand new unraced chassis. The Imola cars will remain in the workshops at Hertz Team Jota back in the UK, and once these head off to Le Mans and then off around the rest of the world, they will start building up the current car, or the previous cars, as next year's cars, next year's Le Mans cars. So they've got this sort of two sets of cars leapfrogging each other, a little bit like AC/DC.
I think it's pretty common practice, yeah, definitely with the teams. It's good to have some chassis in rotation, and the car obviously takes a bit of a beating around Imola, but a chassis is a chassis, and it's more important the things that bolt onto the chassis. You know, so that's putting these cars together really takes time, and yeah, I mean, and Jota as a team are right up there with the best when it comes to getting that car as close to perfection as you can. But so yeah, session is over with the caddy fastest. After just hearing from Will Stevens. So yeah, they've had another great session. They were second fastest, at least in the time that they achieved yesterday. Not on paper, because the lap time got deleted, as I said, for track limits. But they are consistently quick here, and that's something to look out for in qualifying. As is this car. Finishes the session there. You see on the screen on the left-hand side. 007 in third place for what it's worth in free practice. So can they keep this momentum up for the all-important qualifying session that's coming up next?
And look at the gaps: 4 cars in a tenth of a second, and then the second best of the Ferraris just a quarter of a second back. James Collado driving a 51 car ahead of Antonio Fuoco's car number 50. So half a second covering, well, the top 8. And down to 10th place, which will be the cutoff, 7/10 of a second. So if you're not in the 2-minute 2s, then you're not going to make it through into Hyperpole. And that is going to be the issue in qualifying. And in LMGT3, it's going to be similarly tight, because again, the cars are so close in terms of performance. It's what you can wrestle out of it as a team. Garage 59, first and second in LMGT3. And here is the car of Martin Berry, just skating through the gravel. One of the 2 Iron Lynx cars. So 58 and 10, the 2 Garage 59 cars, the fastest cars in LMGT3. Then the number 21 Ferrari from Vista AF Corsa, a Codis ASP 78 car, and their second Lexus down in, 8th place.
You've got the Hyperpole, qualified Hyperpole coming up just a little later. What time are we on air for that?
2:15 will be on air for that local time, so 12:15 Greenwich Mean Time, 13:15 British Summer Time.
There is the quick shot of the new heritage livery for this race only on the number 69 car. Don't know about you guys, for me, this revised Hyperpole procedure in GT with the bronzes qualifying and then the silver drivers in Hyperpole really has turned it up a notch, and Hyperpole is really cooking at the moment.
Yeah, I like it. It gives 2 different graded drivers a chance to drive the car, and obviously the bronze drivers a lot of the time are the ones paying for it, paying for the privilege to drive these fantastic cars. So to give them a chance to qualify is great, and to drive on new tyres as well. And then the silver drivers take it from there. And I love seeing the differences between not just the drivers, but what they can do with the machinery. So what we see in the first round, therefore, in the knockout round in qualifying for the LMGT3s can be a very different story and outcome compared to what you see when the silver drivers jump in. So there's always that extra jeopardy that it creates.
and you're running against your peer group. So bronzes all against fellow bronzes, silvers all against fellow silvers, and that's really part of the reason it was introduced, so that the bronzes weren't up against platinum drivers in a different car and being outclassed. So it is the number 12 Caddy that's on top of the Parbe, a massive 23 thousandths of a second ahead of the 83 Ferrari, the yellow car. 007 Aston Martin within a tenth, and just outside the 10th is the second Cadillac. But again, we're looking at the top 10 spread. It is under 3/4 of a second. So that is a tenth of a second, a kilometre. That's the difference in the top 10. But the number 7 Toyota and the BMWs both are all struggling. Number 7 Toyota, in fact, the number 8 Toyota is struggling as well, and both BMWs, which were quick last year.
Interestingly, the number 7 Toyota, it said it was 2.5 seconds off the pace. It wasn't. Their lap time must have been deleted. The lap time